Okay, in this video I'll just take a quick look at the start maps or the starting maps. You can see I've got them in front of me here. They're very similar to the ones that you see in EDC16 files, or at least they are in this particular file. There's one there and there's another one there. Usually what you get is a main starting map, which is the one that the starter motor uses, and then often there's a second map, and the second map is there for the vehicle to be started if the starter motor isn't working. So in other words, if you were to try and dip the clutch and restart the car or push start the car, this should cut in and take over to start the car. Sometimes the values on the two maps are different, and sometimes they're very similar. Now if we look at the maps, what I'll do is I'll open them both at once if I can get them to agree to stay. Come on. What I'd like to do is see you both. Right, so there's that. I won't click anything because it'll disappear, but there's that one and there's that one, and they're pretty much, now am I going to, no, it's hand on, they're pretty much the same map. It's difficult to see because they look as if they're totally different sizes, but if you look, they both got the same temperature range up here, and they're both using the same engine revs per minute range down the side here. Obviously the revs per minute range is to do with the revs per minute that the starter motor can manage, because the engine hasn't started yet. And in fact the values on the two maps are the same. They're just altered very slightly by the fact that some of the values here have been left out. So if you look, that one starts at 280 and you've got 300, 280, 250, 235, 300, 280, 250, 235 and so on. So they're virtually identical, and they might actually be identical. I'm not going to sit here and work it out exactly. This is not unusual. I mean, it's quite normal for these two maps to be the same. Why they've made that one a different size, I've no idea. It doesn't look like they needed to, but it's quite often they're the same. But in some files they are slightly different, and if you've looked at hot start problems in some files, you'll know that occasionally this file has got better starting values in it than that one has, and by putting the file values from this map into that map, you can improve the starting, especially hot starting. But with this one, they're virtually the same. And the figures here, the actual figures that you get out, these, as you can see, are the torque in Newton meters. So the factor is 0.1. So very simple, very easy to understand, and of course there is no real need for you ever to change those values. Occasionally people can't get a new starter motor, so they attempt to change some of the values in the hope of improving starting on an old starter motor, but generally speaking it isn't worth the effort. You know, if you've got a failing battery or a failing starter motor, fiddling with these maps is generally not a way of coming up with a solution. Right, I'll stop there.